It was freezing cold that November day, and to make things worse, Sam had a nasty cold. He was feeling absolutely miserable, especially since he had to work outside in the cold. He could have just stayed home like everyone else when sick, but that wasn't his style. It was his family's business, and he always put his heart into everything he did. He once heard someone say, if it's worth doing 100%. He never called in sick unless he was too sick to work. That's just how he rolled. It happened twice, both times because he was in the hospital. At 10 o'clock, he started feeling his body giving out, and he knew he couldn't keep going. Arturo, his boss, took one look and basically made him get into his truck, saying, "Go home, Samuel, you're no good to us now. The whole team will end up getting sick because of you." So, Sam found himself sitting in his truck parked on the street in front of his house. 20 minutes later, he parked on the street because he saw his brother's truck in the driveway. This whole situation was weird for a few reasons. First off, Jimmy's brother was supposed to be at work. Secondly, Jimmy had no legit reason to be at Sam's place without Sam there. And thirdly, Sam was only with the team because he was filling in for Jimmy, who was supposed to be in a nearby town meeting a client. Sam couldn't think of a single good reason why Jimmy's truck was parked in his driveway. He went into the house and quietly went up the stairs to the bedroom. The closer he got, the more. Man, he heard some stuff he never wanted to hear. Oh God, yeah. Jimmy and Camila's voices were coming through the open bedroom door. That confirmed Sam's suspicions. Damn, Sam thought, as he switched his phone to video mode and pointed it at the doorway. Jimmy made me cover for him so he could pat my wife's ass. Let's see how he likes it when I kick his ass. None of those cheating lovers noticed as the betrayed husband silently entered the room and stood at the foot of the bed after waiting 3 heartbeats. Sam timed it perfectly and launched a kick at Jimmy. In that moment, Jimmy's whole world turned upside down. Looking back, Camila felt a wave of horror wash over her as she saw the pure rage on her husband's face. Sam quickly composed himself as he rounded the bed and saw his older brother writhing in pain on the floor. He knew that if he retaliated any further, he could end up in jail. Jimmy was scared out of his mind, knowing he didn't stand a chance against his little brother, even in a fair fight. Sam would have destroyed him. Yo, remember that Thanksgiving 2 years ago when Jimmy, the older bro, always knew how to deal with Sam? Unfortunately, Jimmy has become a bit more chill, working mostly at a desk. But Sam, on the other hand, likes to be out in the field with the crews, getting his hands dirty with the construction work. So, Sam ended up gaining a lot of power while Jimmy lost some. Jimmy used to always joke with Sam about how being older meant he could always handle his little bro. But that day, Sam stood up to his older bro right in front of Jimmy's wife. They're gonna settle it with an arm wrestling match. Jimmy thought it was hilarious that Sam was actually challenging his older brother and letting his cockiness get the best of him. All right, it's time to show my little brother who's boss again, Jimmy smirked at his wife. Jimmy and Sam walked over to the table and took a seat. Oh damn, Jimmy muttered to himself. No matter how much Jimmy pushed, he couldn't budge Sam. Sam just sat there, grinning with his muscles flexed, but Jimmy knew he wasn't giving it his all. He looked at Sam's face and realized Sam was just toying with him. Jimmy could see right through him. Just as he was about to get totally embarrassed in front of his wife and family, he could see in Sam's eyes all the teasing and bullying he used to do to his little brother. It was clear that Sam was loving this little payback. Sam even went as far as to lower Jimmy's hand halfway and check his watch before putting it back in its place. The humiliation was complete when Sam yawned boredly and easily placed Jimmy's hand on the table. After that, Jimmy swore to get revenge. The truth is, Jimmy had it coming. He's been picking on his little brother forever, nothing he did went unnoticed. Jimmy got divorced right before Thanksgiving. His wife hired a private eye and caught him cheating 6 months later. Then Camila and Sam tied the knot. My dad, Jacob, started his own construction business when I was just a kid. It was a family affair, with all the shares owned by relatives. My mom, Evelyn, started off as an accountant. I've got an older brother, Jimmy, who I mentioned before, and a younger sister, Stephanie. Steph, or as she liked to be called, was usually pretty happy. Our parents loved us and we loved each other. Jimmy, my big brother, was a bit of a bully and always tried to one-up me. Steph was the golden child in the family, being the youngest and the only girl. She was definitely spoiled by our parents. As for me, I felt like the forgotten middle child. My parents loved me too, but it was clear Steph was the favorite. They didn't really have a favorite, or at least that's what they said. I don't think they realized it, but my older brother was always treated like the golden child, while my younger sister was the favorite among us siblings. My brother was the typical big brother, always reminding me of my place. My younger sister, on the other hand, saw me as more of a servant she inherited. I'm pretty sure my parents had no clue when they made me chauffeur her around once I got my driver's license. It's not like I got the same treatment. Yeah, so like, I didn't get any perks when my older bro got his driver's license. I know you might think I'm complaining or pitying myself, but that's not it. It's just facts. I knew my role in the family and I wasn't salty about it. I'm the middle child, so I get it. My bro is gonna run the family business and my little sis will be looked after. That's just how things go. Man, that's just how it went down. I'm the middle child, so I knew I had to do my own thing. I was married for like a year and a half, and then I caught my older brother, who's divorced and a cheater, banging my wife in our bed at our house. I won't get into all the dirty details, but Jimmy grabbed his stuff and bolted out the door. It took Camille 20 minutes to pack up her things and bounce too. The house was mine before we got together, so it's not up for grabs in any divorce settlement. We had a prenup, so I just signed over the power of attorney. So I met with my lawyer and we discussed my terms, then I skipped town. My lawyer sent me the final divorce papers 6 months later. Everything seemed to go well, but that wasn't the case. I left the city but didn't go far. I went to my parents. I showed them the proof and they basically told me to get over it. They said Jimmy was taking over the company and I needed to leave for the sake of family harmony. My sister agreed with them. Sure, Jimmy was a jerk, but they saw it as a minor bump in the road. Look, it's for the best. If I confronted them, I would just end up losing. So I'm just gonna let it go and try to be happy for Jimmy and Camila. And to make things even worse, Camille moved in with Jimmy that very same night. I was warned not to cause any trouble since Jimmy was the favorite. It was pretty clear that I was on my own in this fight. I swore I wouldn't come back until I got my revenge. They are saying Jimmy will eventually take over the company. Yeah, we are all pretty disappointed in what he did, but we are not gonna disown him. You just gotta deal with it and fall in line. Don't try to make us pick between the two of you. He's the heir, so deal with it. My folks told me that my sister actually butted in on the chat with Sam and spilled the beans about hooking up with your brother. I can't really blame her though, she just had a change of heart. But seriously, get it together and make sure Rams's report is on your desk by Monday morning. When I finally confronted Camille, things just went downhill from there. It all started about a month after we got married. She confessed that most of the times I covered for Jimmy, it was so he could sneak off and have some fun with her. And to top it off, she told me I was knocked up and the baby was Jim's. I was the one who got screwed over, but my fam all took the scammer's side. I had to sit back and watch as my fam embraced Jimmy and Camille like they were long-lost pals. They acted like I never even had a relationship with my own wife. I had to hear my fam gush over Camille and pat Jimmy on the back for being a dad and giving my folks a grandkid. Meanwhile, I was just pushed to the side, my divorce barely even got a mention and was only brought up in passing when talking about Jimmy. Camila's wedding. I got invited to family dinners and parties, but it was pretty clear that it was more out of obligation than because they actually wanted me there. As long as I showed up for work and did my job, that's all they seemed to care about. The last time I saw my family for the next 10 years was at Thanksgiving dinner. I arrived late, walked in, and started saying hi, but let's just say they weren't very happy to see me. The whole encounter lasted a grand total of 3 minutes and 30 seconds. They kicked me out and I made 2 promises. First, I would leave and never think of these people as family again. Second, I would come back one day and wreck them for what they did. These were supposed to be my loved ones, but they betrayed me. I tried to be a good son and brother, but they abandoned me when I needed them the most. I'll find a way to come back and destroy everything they care about. Will I be as kind to them as they were to me? Hell no. 2 weeks later. Damn it, where the hell is Samuel? Came a shout from Jacob's office. What's wrong? Evelyn asked, rushing inside with a worried look on her face. She hadn't seen her middle child in a while, but she just assumed he was still sulking about what happened. She actually felt a little sorry for him, but she just couldn't go against her eldest son. Ultimately, he was chosen to lead the company. The Geraldson project is a month behind schedule, and the building inspector is demanding that we redo all of last week's work. We gotta completely redo it. It's gonna cost us like $50,000 and 2 more weeks to fix. Why the hell did Samuel let this happen? Jacob shouted. First of all, Stephanie said as she entered the office, Geraldson's project is Jimmy's, not Sam's, so I don't get why you're blaming him for this. Secondly, I haven't seen or heard from Sam in the past 2 weeks. He's not picking up his calls and his foreman just told me he hasn't seen or heard from him either. Sam knows he's supposed to cover for Jimmy. Damn, this project has been dragging on for 6 months now. He'd better get his act together. Find him and let him know I'm waiting for him in my office. I'm gonna kick his ass first thing in the morning. It's time for him to stop whining and start working. The next morning, Stephanie was anxious in her dad's office. She sent over 20 texts and left voicemails for Sam. She even went to his house to try and talk to him. Now she has some explaining to do. Yo, her old man and the fam were pissed when she told them what she found. Where the hell is Samuel? I told you to check on him first thing this morning, but he's nowhere to be found. Jacob frowned as he scanned the room, seeing his wife, eldest son Camille, and daughter. Well, he left, she stammered. Left? What do you mean, left? Her mother asked. I mean he bounced. I don't know where, but is gone. He's not responding to texts or calls. He didn't even check his voice messages yesterday. I went to his place and saw that he had moved out. When I walked in, there was a cleaning crew there and they told me they were getting it ready for a new tenant. It seems like he's renting it out now, she explained. Are you saying he ditched his family? Jacob practically yelled. Stephanie had a rough night after finding out all this. She couldn't sleep and kept thinking about everything that had happened and been said in the past few years. Trying to sleep became even harder as her mind raced. The only way that makes sense is because she couldn't forget how everyone treated her brother. It was like a movie in full color and surround sound. She whispered, I think he knows his family left him. I enlisted in the Army Corps of Engineers after leaving home. I went to college, worked part-time, got a degree in civil engineering, and even got an MBA. Jimmy was supposed to take over the company, but I was also gonna be part of the executive team. That was the plan, at least. And now I'm starting to. Hey, I gotta switch things up because my original plans got shaken up when I first left home. But my new plan is solid and today it's finally happening. I couldn't help but grin when I saw my little sister walk into the building across the street. She glanced at me, but it was clear she didn't recognize me. I've changed a lot in the past 10 years. I had some time to kill, so I thought about the last few years. Like I mentioned before, I joined the Army. Thanks to my education and background, I was welcomed with open arms. Ended up in a sandbox, helping rebuild infrastructure. I had a ton of free time, so I decided to spend it on training, like weapons training. I even brought in a couple of special forces dudes to teach me some hand-to-hand combat, not that I really needed it, but I wanted to beef up my strength and be able to hold my own if shit hit the fan. It took me 6 months before I finally joined the Army. By then, I had already been promoted to captain and my CO was trying to get me to re-enlist. Honestly, I seriously considered it. We were on our way to a new place when we got hit by an IED. We were driving when our Hummer got messed up, but we somehow made it out alive from the explosion and flying metal. I got hurt, but didn't realize how bad it was at first. It was just really painful. I could hear gunshots going off as I tried to get out of the wrecked car. That's when I saw that the woman we were with, a member of parliament, was really badly hurt. Her leg was messed up and she was bleeding a lot. I quickly grabbed the first aid kit to try to stop the bleeding when I freaked out when I saw the car was on fire, so I grabbed the first aid kit and quickly helped her out of her seatbelt. I dragged her to a safe spot to try to stop the bleeding while bullets were flying all around us. After doing everything I could for her, I picked up my rifle and started fighting off the enemy to protect us. I didn't even care about my own injuries as I knelt beside her, shooting at anyone who tried to come near us for about 20 minutes. Man, I was so dang tired when I heard them choppers flying overhead. My body just gave out when I saw the paramedics rushing towards us, telling them to get us on that evacuation helicopter pronto. Then I heard someone scream and everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I saw these bright green eyes staring back at me, framed by the face of an angel with shiny red hair. I thought I was in heaven, I mumbled. The angel's eyebrows furrowed, then her face lit up. "Why do you think that?" she asked in a sweet, melodic voice. I thought I'd make it out alive, but turns out I kicked the bucket. "Why do you think you're dead?" "Well, I've never bit the dust before, so I can't say for sure. But I reckon if someone wakes up and sees an angel staring at them, that's a dead giveaway they are toast." Her expression turned happy as she burst out laughing. "Sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm no angel, I'm actually a lawyer." I grinned, saying all it means is I'm in a different place, but I ain't complaining as long as I can keep hanging out with you here. Hey, if it were up to me, you'd be seeing a lot of me. But don't worry, we won't be hanging out in hell. You, my brave soldier hero, are still kicking it. You're currently chilling in a hospital in Germany. You got patched up at the base and then brought here. So, since you mentioned you're a lawyer and not a nurse, I'm curious to know who you are and why you're here with me. Not that I'm complaining, but I doubt suing the rebels for pain and suffering would really fly. She chuckled again. I really dig her laugh. Nah, I'm not here to try and sue anyone. Hey rebels, just wanted to say a massive thank you for saving my sister's life. I'm Rebecca Caulfield, and my sister June was the MP you rescued from the Hummer and helped out with first aid. Everyone I've talked to has said that if it wasn't for you guys, she wouldn't have made it. So, how's she doing now? Will she be okay? She asked and they said she'll be fine. They managed to save her leg, but she'll always have a slight limp. That's how I got to know Becca and her sis. Rebecca kept her promise and split her time between me and her while we were in Germany. Hey sis, I made the decision to not go back to the army and got discharged with a Purple Heart and Silver Star. When I got back to the States, I kept seeing Rebecca and we hit it off. We started dating and I opened up to her about my past, how my ex-wife and family screwed me over. I also shared my plan for revenge, starting my own construction company to compete with them. When I was in the military, I didn't need a lot of money, so I saved up as much as I could until I had enough to kickstart my plans. Since I know my family's business inside and out, I know exactly how to sabotage them and start stealing their clients and top employees. I probably can't completely shut them down, but I could definitely become more successful and cut into their profits. Rebecca pondered for a moment, then smirked. How about we really screw them over? She shared her plan with me, and I was all for it. Turns out, Rebecca's folks are loaded, like, really loaded. They also adore me. I was so pissed at my family for screwing me over, but it worked out because Rebecca's older brother is a financial genius. With his skills, we set up a new LLC where Rebecca's dad became president, her brother became CFO, and Rebecca became CEO. This was all to keep my name out of it, even though I was the one calling the shots. Our first move was buying out a crappy construction company and turning it around. Man, once I got in charge of things, it was a game changer. 6 months later, we brought in another company. And before we knew it, we had snatched up 5 more companies all over the place. Me and Rebecca got tight and started dating. Now here I am, sitting across from my family's business, ready to get my payback. Over the years, I've made some serious cash with our investments and the success of our new company. And just last month, me and Rebecca got engaged. I sat there, smiling and waiting for my moment. Man, I was totally gonna screw over my old family and they had no clue what was coming. Little did they know, a few sneaky folks were buying up all the stocks on the market. And just last week, they hit the jackpot and were ready to pull off the plan. Steph was pissed off as usual. That girl is always in a bad mood. She's not dumb though, she knows what's up with pretty much everyone. She was pissed off at the people who worked at the company and thought, damn them. She believed that as the CFO and the chairman's daughter, she could do whatever she wanted. Plus, if things got really bad, she could just talk to her older brother who was the CEO. It was a family company, so anyone who messed with her would soon be out of a job. But that wasn't her main worry right now. She was upset because there was an unexpected board meeting called. This was rare. Usually, the board only met once a. In most meetings, we all gathered around the family table. The board of directors only met to rubber stamp decisions that were already made by her parents, brother, and herself. Between the four of them and the votes of her absent middle brother, they had control over 60% of the shares. Each family member owned 12% of the shares. Let me explain. A few years ago, the family, minus Sam who disappeared, decided we needed a big expansion. So, we made the call to go public and sell shares to raise some cash. The family made sure everyone in the family kept 12% of the company so they could control 60% of it. Even though there wasn't a formal agreement with Sam, they used his shares to vote, along with everyone else in the family. No one really cared because he didn't want anything to do with them. He didn't even show up to Jimmy and Camila's wedding. After Sam divorced Camila, the family had no idea where he went or where he is now. After 10 years of not hearing from him, they just assumed he had disappeared. Votes were owned by the family and they could do whatever they pleased with them. Steph hesitated before opening the door to the office building across the street. A tall, muscular man stood on the other side, and she only caught a quick glimpse of him before he disappeared when a bus passed by. Shrugging it off, she entered the building. Steph was super bored during the meeting, and Preda still had to be discussed even though the board had just met last month and it wasn't even time yet. Hey, we're not meeting again for another 2 months. They went over the notes from the last meeting, same old stuff from last time. No updates in any of the divisions, nothing's changed since last month. Then this hot brunette speaks up and says she's filing a motion to kick out the chairman for being a total screw-up and having no morals. She seemed to be limping a bit, maybe she hurt herself. That's when Steph noticed there weren't as many people as usual at the meeting. At the board meeting, none of the big-shot shareholders that she usually sees were there. Instead, there were just a bunch of little shareholders, a brunette who filed a petition and a blonde who was a newbie. I support this proposal, the blonde yelled. What the heck is happening here? Steph thought. They must be crazy if they think they can pull this off. In the end, the family had 60% of the votes. It was just not possible for this dumb woman to win. She was about to get completely shut down by everyone except the family. So, there were these two dumb broads who were totally shocked by what was going down. The debate was pretty lively, but it didn't last long. Then the voting started, and no surprises there, Miss Caulfield got 35% of the votes in favor, which was pretty obvious since she was the one who put the idea out there. Miss Jeffers only got 4% of the votes in favor, but that was expected too, cause she was on board with the proposal. There were a bunch of people who voted against it, making up 1% of the shares. So, in the end, it was 39% in favor, 1% against, and the family still had 60% of the shares left to vote. Of course, Jimmy, me, Mom, and Dad all voted against it. I mean, Dad was the chairman after all. So, that's 49% against. Man, can you believe it? 39% said yes, and just as Jimmy was about to step up as Sam's right-hand man to give us a leg up, the door swings open and in walks that tall guy I saw across the street, yep, Samuel Johnson. With only 12% of the vote. My brother, who I hadn't seen or heard from in 10 years, suddenly pops up and snatches our family business right out from under us. And to top it off, we ditched our other brother in favor of our older brother. From then on, everything went downhill. Samuel was made chairman of the board instead of Jimmy. So, I got canned and they brought in a blonde to take my place. Same thing happened to me as CFO, got replaced by a brunette. We never thought this would happen, so we didn't bother with contracts. No severance pay, no golden parachutes, just a quick boot out the door. We had to pack up our stuff and get out in 10 minutes. Good thing all our stuff was company-owned for tax reasons. Sam was nice enough to give us a week to pack up, except for Jimmy and Camila, they got the boot right away. We were all just sitting there, shocked, for 24 hours. Mom, Dad, Jimmy, Camila, and I couldn't believe it when Sam took over the meeting, even though we had lost all power in the company. But hey, we were still major shareholders and had every right to be there. At least we still had our shares and the money from them as long as the company was making a profit. We should be good. But let's be real, none of us had a ton of money in our accounts. Just about $100,000 each for emergencies since the company covered our mortgage, utilities, and cell phones. We didn't really need a lot of fancy cars to live, so we all decided to put most of the profits back into the company. The plan was to cash out later so we could all retire comfortably while we were still young enough to enjoy it, Sam said, leading the meeting. Any other questions? Yes, there is one more thing to discuss, a pretty brunette added. SRJ Enterprise has made a buyout offer. I'm assuming you've already looked into the details of the buyout. So basically, they are saying they are gonna buy up all the shares they can until they own at least 51% of the company. Then, once that's done, Johnson Construction Inc. is gonna be shut down and all its stuff will be taken over by SRJ Enterprise. But what about us employees? We've got a bunch of awesome people here and I don't want them to just lose their jobs and not be able to take care of their families. Well, Mr. Johnson said that all the regular employees will just keep doing what they are doing, nothing will change for them except for the name on their paychecks. Our clients will only work with people they are familiar with. All the big bosses will either get the boot or get moved to other roles at SRJ. Oh, and I should add that they want the chairman, CEO, and CFO to take over the same jobs at SRJ. Their current chairman, CEO, and CFO are all stepping down. What happens to those who don't want to sell their shares? Sam asked, staring at us. I'm sure there will be some who refuse to sell. Oh well, the SRJ guy actually said that once they own 51%, they'll buy out the rest at a set price. So basically, they are gonna cut down on the shares big time because they don't really need them. And once people find out what their plan is, the value of the shares is gonna drop like a rock. Anyone holding out is gonna lose their money. Good news though, the rep is here and she's waiting in the lobby. She's eager to get things going today. Should I get security to take you in? Sam called security and a few minutes later, this stunning woman walked in. She was about 5 feet 7 inches. She had long, gorgeous red hair flowing down to her waist, emerald green eyes, a stunning face with a few freckles on her cute little nose, big boobs, and a slim waist that led to some really nice hips. She was rocking a charcoal pencil skirt, a matching jacket, and a light pink blouse. Her legs were toned and covered in silk stockings, and she was strutting around in 4-inch Prada heels. I was thinking, what the heck is going on with all these hot babes showing up today and taking over our company? And what does Sam have to do with this mess? It was getting ridiculous. It's so obvious that he was in on the plan. He's been MIA for 10 years and now he decides to pop up on the most important day. And then he goes and votes for his family to bail on the business that his dad started. What the heck was he thinking? Why would he do that? Like I said before, we're willing to pay $120 per share for the initial 51%. After that, anyone who wants to sell can get $2 per share. We ain't paying a penny more once we have majority control. I didn't catch the first part of what she said. I was like, damn, I should have listened when the stock tanked from $120 to $2 per share. It was a total disaster. I didn't really want to sell, but holding on would have been a disaster. So I jumped up and yelled out that I wanted to sell ASAP. The redhead flashed me a big smile and said they'd be happy to buy my shares. I'm fourth in line, so they'll give me an offer once they finish up with the first few transactions. My stomach was doing flips, man. I took a guess on who the top 3 sellers were, being fourth was basically the same as being last. I saw Sam, then the blonde, then the brunette all sign an agreement to sell their shares. She already had her 51%. All our money was tied up in the company. In another 5 years, we planned to sell and cash out. We were supposed to be multimillionaires by now, but we'll be lucky if we just end up wealthy. We all had to go home and start packing up. Security took our cars and office keys before we could leave. Get out of here. We had to talk to security to come back tomorrow and get our stuff out of the offices. The blonde lady said she was gonna block us from the company servers and deactivate our logins in a few minutes. But it didn't really matter since they already took our laptops. She also said they'd take our home computers tomorrow. And if they find out we tried to delete or mess with any files before they arrived, it's gonna be trouble. Jimmy was told he's gonna be charged with corporate spying, fraud, messing with evidence, and stealing. His computer got snatched right after they voted to kick Dad out of his job. And guess what? They've already got a money expert checking the books. Sam grinned. The next night, everyone showed up at their parents' place. Jimmy, Camila, and their 3 kids rolled up in a van packed with whatever they could grab last minute. With no other choice, they are moving in with them. Jacob and Evelyn decided on some new living arrangements for the week after the truck got unloaded into the garage. The family all sat around the table to figure out their next move. We can't just sit around and do nothing, Jacob said. We need to fight back and get back what's rightfully ours. Sounds good, Evelyn replied. But what's the plan? How do we even begin to fight this? We'll start by contacting our lawyers and filing claims, Jacob said. But Dad, we don't have any lawyers, Evelyn pointed out. So basically, the lawyers are working for the company now, and we don't have any say in it. We might have to hire new lawyers, and that's gonna cost us. I know we all have secret stashes of cash, but this legal battle is gonna be a long one. Right now, I need all the money I can get to survive until I find a new job and get back on my feet. Stephanie suggested I should go see my little brother Jimmy. He laughed and cracked his knuckles. Camila gave her ex-husband a critical look, taking in his tall, muscular, and confident appearance. He was showing off in the boardroom, but I would really recommend not doing that, she warned. It didn't go well for you last time, and now he seems a lot more intimidating and powerful than before. Jimmy was about to argue, but then he shut up. Stephanie heard him out and tore apart every dumb idea he had. She finally heard an idea that no one had brought up, and it was the only one with a small chance of success. She knew it wouldn't solve everything, but it could improve their current situation a bit. Maybe we should just go and talk to him, you know. It was like the room went dead silent and everyone just stared at her like she had sprouted a third eye out of nowhere. Maybe if we went up and had a chat with him, told him we're sorry for how we treated him, begged for his forgiveness, he might not be so tough on us. I mean, he's never gonna take back everything, but if we swallow our pride and admit we were totally wrong in how we treated him, maybe he'll go easy on us enough so we can make it through without being completely wrecked. It was chaos. You want me to go up to him all ashamed and humiliate myself in front of this punk after he ditched his family, then comes back 10 years later without a word and betrays his own family? Are you out of your mind? I will never lower myself to bow down to that ungrateful jerk, Jacob yelled. Seriously, sis, after how he treated me and my wife before he took off, and then what he did today, do you really think I could do anything other than find a way to get back at him? No way, slippery rock, Jimmy yelled as he crawled out of there. Even Camila screamed in disgust at the growling before her pathetic ex-husband. Jimmy is 10 times bigger than Sam, there's no way I'm gonna embarrass myself or my man by begging that wimp for anything, honey, her mother said in a loving yet scolding tone. I get where you're coming from, but we gotta go to war with the guy who's messing with our family. It's time to fight back, not give up. No way. We ain't gonna talk to our new enemy, we'll figure out a way to attack and take back what's ours. She shut down Steph's dumb idea and the discussion shifted to ways to fight back. Steph didn't say anything as the conversation carried on around her, she already knew what she had to do. She had to jump off the platform before the train crashed. Too late, she realized what her family had done to her older brother, but Sam had already disappeared. She never got the chance to apologize to him. Man, she was such a self-centered brat with her words and actions. She finally had her moment of realization, but it came 2 weeks late. June Caulfield glanced up when her secretary brought Stephanie Johnson into her office the next morning. She couldn't help but notice Stephanie's outfit, a dark blue pencil skirt, matching jacket, powder-colored blouse, black stockings, and 4-inch heels. It was a nice, conservative look. Stephanie's blonde hair was done up professionally and her makeup was tastefully applied. June had to admit, she looked good. I've heard all the stories about how tough Steph is, but she's still really hot. June motioned for the visitor to take a seat and started this unexpected meeting. What can I do for you, Miss Johnson? To be honest, I was a bit surprised by your visit this morning. Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of people would be surprised to see me here. I actually came to talk to Samuel today, but they said he wasn't around. They suggested I leave a message with you instead. But that obviously depends on what the message is. As you can see from recent events, he's not really keen on chatting with your family. Just to be clear, I've heard all the gossip about you and your family, and I don't really like either of you after how you treated him. So I guess you two are tight then? Steph asked, trying to gather all the info she could about the new players in this game. Maybe if she could win over this woman and prove she truly regretted her past criminal actions, she... Hey, so she wants her brother to help her out. We are tight, but not like super close. We are not dating, just really good friends. He's more like a brother to me than anyone else. Oh, you want to know how we met? I could tell you, but it's not really your business. Maybe another time. I'm busy getting ready for a new company takeover. Any message for Samuel? That was the key. She needed to make sure the other woman understood that she really... Tell Sam I need to talk to him ASAP. I messed up before and I know it. I'm really sorry for it, but I only realized it a couple weeks too late. By then, he was already gone. I know everyone else is trying to handle his actions, but I'm not getting involved. I just want to apologize to his face and hope he can forgive me. I'm not even going to ask for it though. Please don't punish me for what we did. I hope he lets me still have some sort of connection with him. I want him to know that I'm cutting ties with the rest of the family because I've seen their mistakes and I don't want anything to do with them anymore. I'm not even going to ask him to trust me, I just want to be able to see and talk to the brother I stupidly pushed away. Steph cried while June looked at her, feeling sympathetic. June had dealt with similar situations with her past partners. Employees she had to fire to know the difference between crocodile tears and real tears of grief and loss. She could easily tell that Steph was sincere. Oh, Sam's out of town for a few days, he won't be back until Monday. I'll pass on your message to him and see if I can get him to schedule some time for you. Thanks, I appreciate it. Don't worry about it. How about we meet tonight for drinks and dinner? I don't know anyone here and I'd like to chat with you some more. Trying to figure out what you want from all this. Let's just say Stephanie was totally shocked by the proposal. She thought June was hot and Steph is into women, even though she keeps it from her family. She goes out with guys at parties and events to keep up appearances, but when she's out of town, she's on the lookout for another woman. It's a chance for her to get to know the woman and her connection to her brother better. Who knows what else she might discover? So, there were these blondie and ginger girls who totally set up an ambush for her and her fam. And get this, she wasn't even planning on using that info to help anyone else out. Nah, she was actually thinking of using it to get closer to Samuel. She thought it'd be sweet to have some allies on her team. So, what's the deal? June asked a few hours later at the bar where she and Stephanie hung out. I've pretty much told you everything already. All I really want is a fresh start with Sam. Why I know. Man, I messed up big time and I know it. Honestly, I'll take whatever mercy he's willing to give me now. But even if he kicks me to the curb, I still want to prove to him that I've changed and I want to be a better sister. How can I trust that you're not just trying to get info to use against him? Honestly, you don't know me so you have no reason to trust me, just like Sam. I'm curious about what's been going on with him in the last 10 years. I can tell he's important to you and you have a serious relationship with him. Hey, I'm just gonna be real with you, I'm super curious to learn more about you and the other two ladies. I feel like if I want to help my brother out, I should know the important people in his life. If they matter to him, they should matter to me too. You mentioned you're like a sister to him, so that means I should be like a sister to you too. If you're his sister, that makes you my sister too. Maybe you can show me how to be a better sister to Sam than I was before. It's a pretty intriguing idea, don't you think? Okay, so you're hot and you seem to be close to Sam, why aren't you guys dating? Steph asked, looking confused. June chuckled, well, there's two reasons for that. And don't worry, you can't use it against us. First off, Sam's already taken, he's engaged. And second, let's just say. Wow, you're way more my type than Sam, June said with a grin, which totally confused Stephanie. So, how did you two meet? I really want to know. We actually met in the army, he explained. He pulled me out of a wrecked car and saved my life. He got injured too, but not as badly. And fun fact, that's also where I injured my leg. My family was so grateful that we kind of adopted him after hearing his story. Oh, wow, we had no idea he served in the army. He just up and left without a word yesterday. We finally heard from him for the first time, Stephanie responded. Yeah, I know he did it on. I know we didn't treat him very well, so you said he's engaged, right? Once he's finished here, they'll tie the knot. Can you tell me who she is? Is it the blonde? Actually, she's engaged to my older brother, not Sam. Sam is engaged to my sister. I think they fell in love right away when Sam woke up in the hospital in Germany. I really wanted to be there for him when he got hurt. Becca was quick to take care of him and get him back on his feet. Man, that lady is like a mama bear when it comes to looking out for him. Trust me, you do not want to give her any reason to think you're trying to harm him. She's a tough lawyer, and I've seen the mess she leaves behind when she's out to crush her opponent in court. If it goes to trial, she can rip you to shreds with just her bare hands. I've witnessed it a few times. I guess I better meet her and make sure I don't cross her path. Actually, you've already met her, and sweetheart, you're in for it. Man, that redhead already has it out for you guys. She can't stand any of you. You really need to get on her good side. They both got hungry and decided to grab some food at the restaurant next door. As they chatted, they got to know each other better. June was being super cautious with what she said, not wanting to spill any of Sam's secrets. Steph did bring up SRJ Enterprise, but June shut down any questions about it. After finishing their meal and polishing off the last of their wine, Steph said, "All right, June, you mentioned I need to win over your friend. Sister Rebecca has got to work on getting along with Sam if she wants any kind of relationship," Stephanie said as she finished her dinner. "Yeah, she's like his gatekeeper," June replied. "Well, I've got a solid plan for that." "Tell me," June smiled. "How are you gonna turn my tough sister from a demon into the loving sibling you say she is?" "It's easy. First, I'm gonna win you over, and then you'll win your sister over for me," Stephanie explained. "Interesting concept," June grinned. "And how are you gonna do that? Are you trying to charm me?" "Well, I reckon it won't be hard at all. Basically, my plan is to bring you to my place, keep you entertained all night, make you feel sick the next day so I can keep going all day and even into the weekend. I'm confident that by Monday morning when you show up to work, you'll be ready to tell your sister how great I am and that you want her to welcome me as your new girlfriend." "I get it. So, what's to stop me from turning you down and walking away?" "Look, I really think you're serious about being my girlfriend. Two things. First, you've already said I'm your type and I can tell you're really into me. Second, I just spilled my biggest secret to you. Nobody else knows about my preferences, not even my family or friends. This is a big deal for me. I've never opened up like this to anyone before. So I hope this shows you how serious I am about us. If you still don't believe me after this weekend, just wait and see how my parents and Jimmy cut me off when it happens. I already warned you that I'll refuse them. This will just make things worse and show my true intentions. Hey sis, what's up with you? You look awful," Rebecca yelled at her sister as June finally made it into the office on Monday morning, clearly exhausted from 3 amazing days. "If you think I look bad, you should meet my new girlfriend," June replied. "Well, really? So who's this new girlfriend of yours?" Rebecca asked. "How did this happen so fast?" "I'll tell you what, give me some coffee and then I need to meet you and Sam for a bit. I have some news for both of you. How about in 20 minutes in Sam's office?" "Sure, go get some coffee, you look like you need it." "So, June, what's this I hear about the new girl?" Sam asked when June came into his office looking a bit disheveled. "Well, I had a surprise visitor on Thursday while you two were out of town. It turned into an even more amazing dinner and then a full weekend. Yo, I gotta tell YA, I have a friend who's even more wild." Becca was freaked out and asked, "Who is it?" June let the suspense build for a sec, glancing between her sister and her future brother-in-law. "Her name's Stephanie Johnson," she said, and watched their faces go from happy to shocked. It took a few minutes before they could even speak. "She's, like, my sister kinda. But I did dig up some juicy info about her and your fam before you start freaking out too much." Why I know, I did some digging after she bounced from my office and before I ran into her later that night. It seems like she finally snapped out of it right after you took off. Apparently, she's real sorry for how she treated you before. But you can't just take her word for it, even if she hooked up with you all weekend. Oh, and by the way, my name's June, not stupid June. June chuckled while Sam and Rebecca just rolled their eyes at the lame joke. Seriously though, I looked into it and some longtime employees mentioned she was acting pretty down right after you split. She seemed super down and sad for a while and kept saying how much she missed you. Maybe it was just her friends hyping her up with lies to make her feel better, but I don't think so. Even Kate mentioned it to me, and Sam confirmed it. Remember how the old guy in accounts receivable knew that Steph and him couldn't stand each other? If Kate said it, it's probably true. But I don't think Steph is into girls, that's just how she is. Trust me, she knows her stuff. Man, the way she understands the complexities of women's love is what made me believe she's finally admitting she's gay. She wants to have a real conversation with you and improve your relationship, but she's kinda ditching the rest of the family in the process. It seems selfish to me, but I think she's just looking out for herself. I don't think it's all bad though. I think we should hire her as my assistant so we can keep an eye on her and also help her out. You know she's really genuine. If things go south, we can just use her to gather info on everyone else. Jun was like, why not? And Sam was like, yeah, let's do it. Obviously, we'll have tracking software on all her devices to make sure she doesn't betray us. Let's schedule a meeting for this afternoon with the three of us. We'll get your brother to install the software and maybe offer her a job after the meeting if it goes smoothly. Just remember to use your smarts and not your gut instincts. Man, Rebecca was throwing some serious shade at her sister during their meeting. Sam was totally shook sitting at his desk, listening to her spill all the tea. Later, he was taken aback by the venom she was spewing about their parents, brother, and especially Camila. She talked about how she had been putting on a front for the past decade just to keep the peace with the family. She even spilled all the beans about the family business, financials, and future plans. She totally earned it when questioned about her sudden shift in talking about sex. She spilled all about her past and admitted she's fully out and proud now. She knows her family's closed-mindedness might mess things up, but she's been miserable for a decade. She's sorry she didn't get it sooner, but now that you're gone, it's too late. Even if you push her away, she's just glad to finally say sorry. Steph said my past behavior was okay. I forgive you, your apologies seem real. I'm willing to give our relationship another shot, but I have trust issues because of how you treated me and your family in the past. I don't trust you because you have a reason to lie to us, especially since I've taken a lot from you. But my future sister-in-law thinks you deserve a chance. Just remember, we'll be watching. Keep an eye on you, and if you mess up, there will be serious consequences. Don't screw it up. So, what's this SRJ enterprise all about? Steph asked. I've never heard of it before. SRJ stands for Samuel, Rebecca, and June. We are the bosses around here, so it doesn't really matter what we offer for our own shares. In the end, we'd just be paying ourselves with our own money. You should have figured that out, Stephanie. Stephanie never left her home, instead June moved in and let her girlfriend stay with her. Sam and Becca couldn't believe how great things were going with Stephanie. It seemed like Stephanie was really into June and was putting in the effort to make their relationship work. Stephanie took on the job as June's assistant and seemed to be having a good time working with her. Sam has also started to open up to both Stephanie and June, and they are all getting along like siblings. It definitely helps that Stephanie and Sam are dating sisters, so they often hang out with their significant others. Plus, Stephanie was kicked out by her parents and older brother when she was all smiles when she told them she was shacking up with her girlfriend. She got a kick out of seeing her mom's reaction when she spilled the beans about who her girlfriend actually was. Jimmy and Camila were left speechless as Dave and his fiancée took over their old place. Feeling a bit bad for Jimmy and Camila's kids, who were caught in the crossfire, Sam decided to dial back on the revenge he had planned for his brother and ex-wife. Instead of leaving them high and dry, Sam offered them a job to help them avoid financial ruin. Alright, so, a few months went by and they were about to get kicked out of that crappy apartment they were renting. Eventually, they had to suck it up and accept a job that wasn't exactly what they were aiming for. Sam, who was pretty well liked around town, made it known that he didn't want anything to do with anyone who hired his ex-family members. Jacob and Evelyn even tried to sue Sam to get him to leave and give them the company back, but honestly, their case was pretty weak. But they found this random law firm that was desperate for business and decided to take on the challenge. It only lasted about 30 seconds after the first hearing. Jacob and Evelyn's two lawyers saw this fierce red-haired woman walk into the courtroom and sit at the defendant's table. They glanced at each other, grabbed their briefcases, and told their clients they were backing out of the case. They practically ran out of the courtroom. Later, Jacob and his wife stormed into the law office to demand an explanation. What the hell happened? Two lawyers came and told them about the disaster that's happening. Do you even know who their lawyer is? Asked one of the partners. Of course we know, it's Jacob. He represents the corporation that bought us out. And apparently, he's also the fiancé of our disowned son. Well, you really don't know much, said the second partner, shaking his head. This is Rebecca Caulfield. To be honest, your case is pretty weak. We were hoping they would settle. Going to court would cost too much money, so how about we just settle? At worst, their lawyers will just look at the case and probably throw it out. But Rebecca is a whole different story, especially since you mentioned she's engaged to your son, who you obviously can't stand. This makes it personal for her. She won't be happy with just winning the case. She's gonna tear you apart, spit you out, and completely embarrass and destroy you. And then she'll go after whoever introduced you. We might be in some serious trouble here. We needed a job, but we weren't so desperate that we'd be totally screwed by going up against the meanest barracuda on the planet with their money running out and no other choices. So, the couple had to move into a tiny one-bedroom apartment they could afford on Social Security. Evelyn spends her days babysitting Jimmy and Camila's kids for free, while her son and daughter-in-law are at work. Jacob just sits on the couch all day in misery, complaining about how his life sucks. So, it turns out this old couple hardly talks to their youngest kid, and they barely see their oldest son because he's always busy with work. Mr. Johnson, the cashier from the store, quietly walked into Sam's office and asked, "Hey, Sam, what can I do for you?" He was smiling at his ex-wife and daughter-in-law. "I was thinking, is there any chance you could move Jimmy to a job closer to us? He's been working out of state for months now, and we only get to see him once every 2 weeks, and even then he's usually busy. I'm just too tired to do anything properly. I'm sorry, Camila, but all the positions for workers closer to you are already taken. In order to move Jimmy closer, I would have to move someone else, and that wouldn't be fair." The blonde lady started crying and said, "Please, Mr. Johnson, I know you hate us and punish us for our mistakes, but I'm desperate. I haven't been intimate with my husband for months. I'll do anything. Can you please let me see my husband?" She was practically begging him. It sounds like she really wants to meet her husband. Then this woman's voice comes on the speaker, could be fake, maybe she doesn't actually mean it. Another woman chimes in, saying that based on what she heard when she was coming out to her family, she's not buying what she's selling. And then a third woman says that she was on a conference call with Sam, his fiancée, future sister-in-law, and sister when his secretary told him that Camille wanted to talk to him. He was pretty sure about something as soon as he heard that. So, he was talking about something and he wanted his peeps to really listen and get into it. But Camila ain't buying it. Maybe you need to be more clear about what you're down to do. Honestly, I ain't feeling the idea of your man getting too cozy with me. If we could ship him off to Siberia, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Why the heck would I even think about bringing him any closer? At least now he can come home, thank God. Every other weekend, but it's an 8-hour drive. He comes home late on Friday night, needs to rest on Saturday, and leaves again on Sunday morning. Since he's just a worker and barely makes more than minimum wage, he's so tired by the time he gets home that he just sleeps all day. Well, Camila, I'm not completely sure this is my problem. If things don't work out between you two, you can quit and find another job, you know. But that's not an option, you know. We've already tried that, and we can't afford to. Let's just bounce and find a new spot to work at, because once they hear about what went down, nobody here is gonna give us a chance again. I get that you're pissed at us for what went down, but can't you at least show a little bit of kindness? Why do I even bother? You two never showed me any kindness. In fact, you both were straight up cruel to me and never felt bad about it. Now all you care about is me getting payback on you. It's not just about what you did to me, there's no talking sense into her. Camille's ex-husband knew she had to use her last resort, her body. She was willing to do whatever it takes, hoping Sam would agree to just hook up with her. Sam was better in bed than Jimmy, and she always had a good time with him. She only settled for Jimmy when she found out he would inherit the company and be more successful. Her picture should be next to gold digger in the dictionary. Maybe she thought she could get her ex back and kick out this stubborn redhead. So, she was really pissed about not getting any action lately, and she figured she could have some mindless fun with Sam if the opportunity arose. She was just a little worried that she was talking to a ginger and two gross people who were enjoying themselves. All right, let's cut to the chase. How about this, Sam? We've talked about bringing another chick into the mix before. I highly doubt I'd be down for that, but I wouldn't mind seeing if it changed anything. Camila was horrified by this. So, June was talking about how Steph and her were thinking about bringing another girl into the mix for a night of fun. Jimmy's not supposed to be back this weekend, so maybe you guys can have some fun with her on Saturday and then we can have her over on Sunday. Sam took a moment to think before saying, sounds like a plan, June. You and Steph can do whatever you want. June was thrilled. On Monday morning, Camille somehow managed to limp her way to work with Ginger. She just hoped. Hey guys, great news. Steph just told me that Sam is gonna stick to our deal. He'll be finishing up where he is this week and then coming back next weekend to start construction on that new building in town. Camila was so relieved to hear this, especially with her rocky history with them. She was afraid they might bail on us. You dirty rat, you tricked me. Camille yelled as she stormed into Sam's office on Thursday afternoon. She had just been hit with divorce papers that also had some other stuff in them. Yo, so there were these pics of Camila getting it on with a bunch of chicks and some dude. They made sure to blur out everyone's face except Camila's. Then, the dude kicks me out and says I'm a bad mom. Camila kept yelling, her tantrum went on for like 10 minutes and drew a crowd. Rebecca, June, and Stephanie were all there. But Sam just sat there with a smirk on his face, not saying a word. Yo Becca, as the company lawyer, what can we do about these serious charges this cashier is throwing at us? From what I've seen, she ain't got no proof that any of us had anything to do with her mess. In my opinion, she's just trying to save face and is reaching for anything she can to make herself look better. My advice is to just fire her for being a pain in the ass at work. Our security cameras caught her making up lies, so we have a good reason to do it. It sucks that she hurt me by leaving me for my brother, but I hope that by giving them a chance and hiring them when no one else would, it might fix things in our family. It all worked out when we hired Stephanie, so let's keep it that way. Camila, I have to let you go. Talk to HR about your rights. Hey, just so you know, your last paycheck will come before you leave. But I'm in a tough spot right now. Jimmy kicked me out and got a restraining order against me. Without this job, I won't even be able to get another apartment or a hotel room for the night. I mean, I could move to the other side of the country, but what kind of life would that be? I wouldn't have any good references for jobs, and how would I explain the big gap in my work history? The best I could probably get is a minimum wage job. He wouldn't even help her out and would never let her see her kids again. Her only choice was to live on the streets and beg for money to get by. At least she'll get to see her kids once in a while, even if it's under supervision. Jacob and Evelyn spent the rest of their lives barely getting by on just their social security. Their bitterness and rage kept them from reaching out to Sam, and their stubbornness made them avoid contacting their daughter. It was the only source of happiness for them. So, basically, Jimmy's folks saw him stuck in a dead-end job as a laborer for his brother's company while his grandkids were being born. They told him straight up that he ain't gonna get no promotion there. Poor guy tried to find a better gig a few times, but got turned down every time. He didn't have the right skills for any job, and his business degree was worthless after he messed up with his own company. No one wanted to give him a shot. He even tried dating to spice things up, but no luck there either. So, I tried dating for a bit but couldn't find any chicks who were down to chill with a single dad who was broke. Sam and Rebecca tied the knot and popped out 3 kids. They loved all three equally and planned to treat them all the same when it came to inheritance. No favoritism here. June and Stephanie also got hitched, even though they started off in a weird way. They ended up falling head over heels for each other, no questions asked. Stephanie and Sam also became super close, like siblings. Stephanie ended up giving. Jun's older bro was the baby daddy for her two kids, and they had to use some fancy science stuff to make it happen. Hit that subscribe button so your little rugrat doesn't turn into a player, and make sure to stay tuned for the next juicy story, cause this one ain't got nothing on it. And if you're still a baby yourself, then don't even think about listening to what's next.